Hey everyone, welcome back to Rock Legends 2025, Bands, Tours, and History. I'm Lydia, and with me today, as always, is the encyclopedic John.
Thanks, Lydia. Always a pleasure to be here, especially when we're diving into a true icon. And today's story, well, it's about as rock and roll as it gets. We're talking about Anthony Kiedis, the voice, the chaos, and honestly, the heart behind the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Fame, addiction, recovery, redemption, it's all here in his story. I mean, this isn't just your typical rock star highlight reel. This is the saga of a kid who, let's be real, grew up way too fast and somehow, almost miraculously, managed to channel all that pain and intensity into pure, unadulterated poetry. It's wild.
Absolutely. It's a story of extremes, the highest highs, the lowest lows, and everything in between. So if you're ready, let's rewind the tape and really dig into the making of a legend.
All right, kicking things off, Anthony Kiedis was born in 1962 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He once described himself as a happy little mischief maker as a kid, which honestly already sounds like the perfect blend of creative energy and impending chaos, right?
Yeah, even that phrase, mischief maker, it just fits the vibe, doesn't it? But his world really shifted when he was 12. That's when he moved to Los Angeles to live with his dad, Blackie Dammit. Blackie was an actor, kind of hustling on the fringes of Hollywood, and that move, Lydia, that changed everything for young Anthony.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, imagine being 12, right? Most kids are dealing with awkward phases and maybe a paper route. Anthony, on the other hand, was suddenly plunged into this incredibly wild LA scene. His dad was part of it, the music, the parties, the late nights, and, by Kiedis' own admission in his autobiography Scar Tissue, his dad brought him along for the ride. He was introduced to adult things way too early. Substances, parties, the whole city buzz.
It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. For most of us, middle school meant homework and video games. For Anthony, it meant the Sunset Strip, hanging out with musicians who would literally go on to shape rock history. He just soaked it all in, the rhythm, the freedom, the danger. You can hear it in everything he's ever created.
No kidding. Those early experiences, the good, the bad, and the seriously questionable, they became the fertile ground for both his incredible creativity and, unfortunately, for his burgeoning demons. It's a classic Hollywood coming-of-age story, just, on steroids.
Seriously. And it's those early LA connections that eventually led to the birth of something truly legendary. Fast forward a few years, Kiedis is in high school, and he meets Michael Balsari, who we all know as Flea. Flea was this jazz-loving trumpet player who had just discovered the bass. Two outsiders, total mischief makers. They bonded instantly over their shared love of music and just not fitting in.
Yeah, and you can just imagine that energy, right? Two forces of nature colliding. Soon after, they connected with guitarist Hillel Slovak and drummer Jack Irons. And that's when, as they say, magic happened. Their first band name, though, was a mouthful. Tony Flo and the Miraculously Majestic Masters of Mayhem. Thank goodness they shortened it.
Can you imagine seeing that on a marquee tonight? The Miraculously Majestic Masters of Mayhem. But man, those early shows, they were legendary. Half-naked, body paint, pure, raw energy exploding from the stage. They took funk, mixed it with punk, threw in a whole lot of adrenaline, and created a sound that literally nobody else had. It was chaotic, it was visceral, it was new.
Audiences absolutely ate up that chaos. I mean, it was infectious. Labels, not so much at first. They didn't quite know what to do with these guys. But the underground scene in LA, it caught fire. These guys were different, unapologetically so.
Totally. And by 1984, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the shortened version, thank goodness, were signed. They were on their way to becoming one of the most unpredictable, exhilarating, and, let's be honest, self-destructive bands of the decade. They were a force.
Fame, as it often does, came fast. And with it, unfortunately, came the fallout. Anthony and Hillel Slovak, they were experimenting heavily with drugs. It's a tragic part of the band's story that's really intertwined with their early creative output.
Yeah, they recorded their first few albums in this kind of hazy blend of creative brilliance and, let's just say, profound self-destruction. Producer Rick Rubin, who later became a huge part of their story, actually admitted he initially turned them down because of the sheer chaos surrounding them. He just couldn't handle it.
And then, the unthinkable happened. Tragedy struck hard. In 1988, Hillel Slovak died from a heroin overdose. He was only 26 years old. Just devastating. It was a wake-up call, but also, for Anthony, a moment of profound personal collapse.
Devastated doesn't even begin to cover it, I imagine. Anthony just disappeared. He went through a cycle of detox, relapse, disappearing again. It's a heartbreaking detail, But he didn't even attend Hillel's funeral. He simply couldn't face it. That moment, truly, it split his life in two, before Hillel and after.
And you know, in a strange, incredibly painful way, it forced him to start over. It was a rock bottom that demanded change, even if that change was a long, winding, and often terrifying road.
Absolutely. It's a turning point that led to one of their most iconic and arguably most important songs. I'm talking about Under the Bridge. Anthony actually wrote it as a poem, not even intending to show it to anyone. It was this deeply personal confession, you know? It described his loneliness, his regret, his incredibly complex relationship with the city of LA, all his highs, all his lowest lows.
Right? And it really was just a personal reflection. But when Rick Rubin found those lyrics, he knew immediately what they had. He convinced Anthony to turn it into a song, and when it hit the world, it was like this raw, real confession. Suddenly, the Red Hot Chili Peppers weren't just wild party kids anymore. They were storytellers, they had depth. People saw a different side of them.
It completely changed their trajectory. The success of Blood Sugar Sex Magik, with Under the Bridge as its emotional anchor, launched them into superstardom. But of course, fame has its own gravity, and it kept pulling Anthony back towards those old habits. He relapsed again, then fought his way back to sobriety. A cycle that honestly defined him for years.
It's truly a testament to his resilience, and perhaps a bit of stubbornness, that he kept fighting. Because by the mid-90s, the band was close to burning out. Members came and went, tours imploded, critics doubted they'd ever truly recover, ever hit that peak again.
Yeah, it was a rough patch, to put it mildly. But then came the return of John Frusciante and the album Californication. And I mean, it wasn't just a comeback album, it was a resurrection. It felt like the band had literally risen from the ashes, stronger and more refined than ever before.
Absolutely. Songs like Scar Tissue and Other Side just oozed pain and beauty in equal measure. Anthony's lyrics on that album felt older, wiser, more reflective. It was like he was finally processing everything he'd been through. The band's chemistry just clicked again, and for once, they seemed grounded, almost serene, despite the intensity.
He's actually said in interviews that writing Californication was like therapy for him, learning to love himself without substances, without all that chaos he used to cling to. It was proof that second chances in rock aren't just possible, you know? They can be legendary. And Californication definitely cemented that.
It's such a powerful narrative arc, and when you look at the person behind the mic, Anthony Kiedis is just full of contradictions. He can be deeply philosophical one minute and then completely reckless the next. It's that raw, unpredictable energy that makes him so compelling.
Totally. He's incredibly open about his flaws, too. The mistakes, the pain, the relationships that just didn't last. He's talked extensively about therapy, meditation, surfing, and fatherhood as these vital pillars he uses to keep himself balanced now. You can tell he's actively working on himself.
Definitely. Ask anyone close to him and they'll tell you he's still intense. That's just his nature. But he's learned to aim that intensity at something positive. The music, his son, his health. It's a remarkable transformation, you know, from that chaotic kid on the Sunset Strip.
And even now, decades later, you still see him walking on stage barefoot, shirtless, defying age and gravity. He's said it himself, that's the only time he feels truly free. It's his sanctuary, his place of pure expression.
It's incredible, isn't it? Say what you want about the man, and people certainly have, but his lyrics have always been this unfiltered mirror of his life. Sometimes messy, sometimes incredibly profound, but always, always honest. That's his superpower.
Absolutely. He writes about California like it's a living being, a mix of heaven and heartbreak, this beautiful, dangerous place. And about love and addiction, like they're just two sides of the exact same coin. You hear it in songs like By the Way, Snow Hey-Oh, even the Zephyr song. They show a softer, more reflective Kiedis, someone who's still searching for meaning, but finally looking in the right places.
And that honesty? It's why fans connect so deeply with him. Because in a genre that's so often full of masks and personas, Anthony Kiedis somehow made vulnerability cool. He made it powerful. He made it rock and roll.
He really did. So where is he now? Today, Anthony Kiedis is in his 60s, still fronting one of the biggest rock bands on the planet. He surfs almost every morning, practices yoga, and tours the world with Flea, Chad Smith, and John Frusciante. That's a life well lived after all he's been through.
It really is. The band even released new albums in the 2020s, proving that longevity can absolutely coexist with rebellion. It's not just about staying relevant, it's about continuing to create and evolve.
He said he feels like the Chili Peppers are a living organism, something that's constantly changing, adapting, but never truly dying. Which is a pretty poetic thought for a guy who once lived minute to minute with no real thought for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's just incredible perspective. Anthony Kiedis' life is without a doubt proof that rock and roll isn't just about fame or fortune, it's fundamentally about survival. He's the product of a childhood that was definitely on fast forward, a career of extreme highs and lows, and a lifetime of literally rebuilding himself, piece by piece.
The fire made him, no question, all that raw energy and rebellion. But the fallout, the heartbreaks, the addictions, the losses, that defined him, molded him into the artist he became. And through it all, he's kept one thing constant: the music.
It's his confession, his redemption, and ultimately his lasting legacy. So the next time you hear Under the Bridge or Scar Tissue, just remember, those aren't just songs. They're journal entries from someone who has truly, deeply lived every single lyric.
I'm John, and this has been Anthony Kiedis, The Fire and the Fallout, part of Rock Legends 2025, Bands, Tours, and History. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
And I'm Lydia. If you liked this episode, please hit follow, share it with your friends, and let us know which legend you want us to dive into next. Until then, keep your music loud, your mind open, and remember, every legend has scars. We'll catch you next time.